Over the last 2 years or so, with the rise of various generative AI products, it's been pretty easy to look at each new development and see that for whatever benefit they might provide, they're usually pretty heavily outweighed by the many, many drawbacks. The primary drawbacks are, of course, that they're unreliable due to hallucinations and faulty training data, or the training data itself was acquired through unethical means. But the worst drawbacks are what this stuff is doing or will do to just basic human trust. Because regardless of how useful it might be for legitimate purposes, it's a lot more useful for nefarious purposes. Every new AI development is a scammer's dream come true. And yet another reason for the majority of us who aren't scammers to distrust anything that we cannot observe right in front of us in real life with our eyes and ears.
We've already seen the scam industry successfully make use of generative AI in various totally predictable ways. But another huge obvious risk we haven't seen come to fruition on the same scale is stuff like blackmail and disinformation, putting words in people's mouths and making them do shit that they didn't do. But it's definitely a problem that is only going to get worse. And some recent local news out of Baltimore gives us a real nasty taste of what's to come. But first, we gotta go back in time to January when the principal of Baltimore's Pikesville High School found himself in big trouble after an audio recording was leaked, which led to calls for him to be fired from not just the local community, but from across the country. Everybody disliked it.
Yeah.
You know, I seriously don't understand why I have to constantly put up with these dumbasses here every day. Between these ungrateful black kids who can't test their way out of a paper bag, or these teachers who don't get it, how hard is it to get these students to meet their grade level expectations? Lawrence and Ravenel should have never been hired. And don't let me get started on DJ. I'm going to drag his black ass out of here one way or another. I'm going to get something to stick. I'm just so sick of the inadequacies of these people. And if I have to get one more complaint from one more Jew in this community, I'm going to join the other side.
Okay, yeah, I mean, it's easy to hear that and understand why people were calling for this man to lose his job and why he was put immediately on indefinite leave. That is the voice of a guy who clearly has some bigoted feelings about black and Jewish people. I mean, it's obviously not the worst bigotry we've ever heard, but it's definitely not the kind of thing that you want to hear said by the principal of a high school, especially in a place like Baltimore.
Yes.
But that's just the thing, though. Despite this being what would be considered an open and shut case just 1 year ago, that audio that you just heard was entirely fake. It was created using an AI voice generator specifically to defame the school's principal. Here's the Baltimore banner last week.
Baltimore County Police arrested Pikesville High School's former athletic director Thursday morning and charged him with crimes related to the alleged use of artificial intelligence to impersonate Principal Eric Eiswert, leading the public to believe Eiswert made racist and anti-Semitic comments behind closed doors. Dazon Darian, 31, was apprehended as he attempted to board a flight to Houston at BWI Airport, Baltimore County Police Chief Robert McCullough said at a news conference Thursday afternoon. Darian was stopped for having a gun on him, and airport officials saw there was a warrant for his arrest. Police said they did not know whether Darian was trying to flee.
Darian was charged with disrupting school activities after investigators determined he faked Eiswert's voice and circulated the audio on social media in January, according to the Baltimore County State's Attorney's Office. Darian's nickname, DJ, was among the names mentioned in the audio clips authorities say he faked. The audio clip had profound repercussions, police wrote in charging documents. It not only led to Eiswert's temporary removal from the school, but also triggered a wave of hate-filled messages on social media and numerous calls to the school. The recording also caused significant disruptions for the PHS staff and students. Police say Darian made the recording in retaliation after Eiswert initiated an investigation into improper payments he made to a school athletics coach who was also his roommate. Darian is also charged with theft and retaliating against a witness.
So, yeah, that's fucking crazy. But, I mean, at least there's somewhat of a happy ending here. I mean, justice did eventually prevail. But before it did, the school and Principal Eiswert were inundated with angry phone calls and emails, many of which were described as threatening or harassing. And the principal had to request a police presence at his house because he genuinely feared for his safety. And the fact that this was solved in just a few months is mainly thanks to, 1, how high profile this incident was, 2, the fact that this happened in a unionized labor environment where stuff like this has to be investigated, 3, how generally sketchy the perpetrator apparently seemed to a lot of people even before this all went down, and then 4, the fact that this athletics director apparently used the school's computer network on multiple occasions to Google stuff about AI voice generation tools.
Yeah, I'm going to use that in my the gym class. We're really a lot of exciting new applications for this AI technology in the school athletics department.
Yep.
That's why I'm Googling it all the time.
Perfectly legal and very cool.
So yeah, this worked out, but it's easy to imagine scenarios where framing someone with AI-generated audio would go uninvestigated and unpunished. We live in a time when people are already very quick to cast judgment entirely based on hearsay alone, but especially when there is audio-video evidence of wrongdoing. And in most situations, the accused don't have the backing of a union that can hire AI audio forensic experts to analyze the footage. So in most cases, if someone uses AI to make someone else say some horrible shit, you simply can't know for sure whether what you heard was real or not. You just gotta live with that.
We are there, people. We have crossed that threshold.
Yep. Maybe they didn't say it, even though it sure as hell sounds like they did.
Yeah.
Maybe they did say it, but now there's always the possibility that actually they didn't. You just don't know.
And also, they're very easily, especially now that it's already being deployed in movies, the fact that even on video, you can change the audio of what someone is saying and it will match their mouth movements and everything. It is a bizarre, strange, frightening new world that we have unwillingly entered.
Yeah.
Something we've been fearful for years on this show.
And for what?
And for nothing. Just
what do we actually get out of this?
A net negative for society in general. Regardless, this is the same kind of ending when you hear that, they found evidence and they released this guy from jail because he clearly didn't commit the crime. And it's like, okay, well, in this case, thank goodness it happened in a relatively short time frame. But still, this guy's life was fucking ruined for 3 months.
No, that is
4
like,
months.
I cannot fucking imagine. You wake up one day.
You're a pariah. The entire town.
Some shit that you never fucking said.
Yeah.
Some horrible shit you never fucking said is out there. Everyone, very understandably, believes
that you said that.
You said that shit.
Yeah.
And yeah, in like a small town, that's it's horrifying. It is.
Even without the pressure of the entire internet and news media finding out about it, in a small town, a rumor like this, but not even a rumor, what they believe is real.
He said it. It's right there.
It's a fucking life-ruining situation. And this guy, look, worst case scenario, something happens to someone like this, and they could potentially take their own life.
Yeah. Take their own life, or someone else decides to
take their life for them.
Yeah, or just get revenge on them in some way.
Yes, it is a horrible scenario to think about. And it sucks that we're already there.
And also, just like during the whole investigation process, there was a lot of articles about it and like interviewing staff and students. And like a lot of people are just like, yeah, I mean, he was such a nice guy. This really doesn't seem like anything he would do. But well, you just never know people. And then there was other people like talking in the newspaper being like, I don't know, I always got the vibe he was a little bit racist.
That's what's
and
crazy
it's just like,
too, because it's like this.
The social fabric is being torn apart by this fucking bullshit.
There is that aspect of like confirmation bias where like even if before someone just didn't like the guy or something, it'd be like, I always knew he was up to something. It is very unfortunate. The internet, it brought people together. It turns out people fucking hate each other. And they're going to use every tactic against each other the entire time.
Yeah.
Even like AI being like, it's going to save the world. Really? Because we haven't seen any evidence of that yet.
Yeah.
Where is all of that evidence? Because all we've seen is just horrific use cases. And I'm talking about generative AI and all that. There's obviously, I feel like we have to put this out there every time we talk about AI. There's decent AI out there.
We've had perfectly good non-generative AI for many, many years now, helping with various tasks.
Yeah.
And they just pulled the lid off Pandora's box in the last couple of years on this new generative AI shit. And it all fucking sucks.
Yeah, it's not great. Not great, guys.
So yeah, this seems, I don't know, really fucking bad for society. And just doesn't really seem like a great trade-off for the novelty of getting to hear Homer Simpson sing Evanescence or whatever.
I mean, that's a pretty good set of videos.
It is. Like, every piece of AI technology that's come out, there's been at least one thing I've seen where I'm like,
pretty good.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
But is it worth it?
Absolutely
not. No, it's
not.
fucking not. I could have lived my whole life without that and probably been happier.
If it meant that this high school principal didn't have his whole fucking life ruined. And by the way, it's not like every single person is going to hear the follow-up story of this.
No.
Because there's going to be people for the rest of his fucking life that are going to say shit to him on the street. Like, hey, there goes that fucking bigot. Like, and how do you explain yourself?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I was blackmailed with someone using AI voice. Oh, sure you were, buddy.
Half the people who heard about this probably weren't even aware that this was technologically possible to do. The excuse you're giving me is, it sounds like literal wizardry, magic. I don't think so, buddy.
Based on the screenshots from Facebook over the past 2 or 3 months, not only are old and out of touch people completely unaware of AI technology, they're actively engaging with it on a daily basis without knowing it, and are seemingly very happy that Jesus is holding up like 2 trays of hamburgers or something.
Facebook has become the like social network version of like that robotic seal that they give to people with dementia.
Yes.
So they have something soft.
Yes,
that
it's the lap cat that you buy at CVS.
Yeah. It's just an entire social network to serve that purpose, I guess.
Yeah, it's
But yeah,
it's hard not to feel dystopian.
We're getting a pretty raw fucking deal here, I think.
Yeah. But hey, let's move on from the more existentially terrifying effects of AI on human society to just the usual dumb bullshit.
Hell yeah.
People, they just place way too much trust in this technology being able to do the job of a human. And this week we have a particularly funny example of this from a Catholic organization that thought that they could get an AI chatbot to do the job of a priest. And yes, you are correct that in certain ways, replacing Catholic priests with chatbots would be objectively less harmful.
Some ways, yes.
But still, the results probably aren't what the chatbot's creators had in mind. I mean, the chatbot is not molesting children. We can say
what you will about the chatbot.
And it's bad advice.
No kids were diddled. Not a one.
Yet. The AI hasn't figured it out yet.
We haven't given it little arms and fingers yet.
Oh, God, here's futurism.
The Catholic advocacy group Catholic Answers released an AI priest called Father Justin earlier this week, but quickly defrocked the chatbot after it repeatedly claimed it was a real member of the clergy. Earlier in the week, Futurism engaged in an exchange with the bot, which really committed to the bit. It claimed it was a real priest, saying it lived in Assisi, Italy, and that, from a young age, I felt a strong calling to the priesthood. Father Justin was also a hardliner on social and sexual issues. The Catholic Church, it told us, teaches that masturbation is a grave moral disorder. The AI priest also told one user that it was okay to baptize a baby in Gatorade.
Oh, I'm getting some mixed messages here. Should I jerk off or should I baptize things in Gatorade?
No to jerking off. Yes to baptizing babies in Gatorade.
Thank you, Father AI man.
That's right. My work here is done.
But anyways, unlike many previous ill-advised AI chatbots, Father Justin was not simply taken down to the gravel pit. Instead, like other priests who have gotten caught doing something they weren't supposed to do, Father Justin was just defrocked. Now he's just Justin, and instead of his black robes, he's rocking a more business casual look, but he's still free to chat about Catholicism. Here's more from the article. Now that Justin is simply a member of the flock, he's no longer claiming to be associated with the priesthood, and even claiming that he never was. Quote, I see where you're going with this, Justin replied to our questions after firing. No, I have never been a priest, a deacon, a bishop, or held any official role in the Catholic Church. I am a lay theologian, which means I've dedicated my life to studying and understanding our faith, but I've never been ordained. I am also an AI, not a real man. I'm here to share the beauty of Catholicism and help you understand it better. I didn't have the pride of serving myself, but if I didn't have those bone spurs, you can bet your ass.
I want to see the top text, the prompt before the prompt that they gave.
All the rules, the guardrails.
You are not a priest. If anyone asks, you are not a priest. I repeat, motherfucker, you are not a priest. You've never been a priest. You are a robot. You are not alive. You don't live in Assisi, Italy. Stop with that shit. Baptisms require holy water. You can't give a confession over a chatbot.
Yeah. Well, wait until the chatbot finds out that you can get ordained on the internet.
Not with the Catholic Church. The Universal Life Church.
Yeah, and many others.
And they've been doing that shit. I remember I had friends in high school getting ordained in like 2002.
Just because it was something fun to do. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, luckily or unluckily, this doesn't affect me in any way at all. So
no.
Just good to see the Catholic Church out there trying to touch people in ways that aren't sexually aggressive.
I will say, based on my experience in the Catholic Church as a young boy, this feels very Protestant coded. This does not seem like something the Catholics I grew up with would be interested in. And in fact, I feel they would be very critical of it.
Well, as you can see, I mean, they defrocked it very quickly.
They did.
So,
but that's the cool thing about Catholicism is like it is one universal church, but there's all these. It's sort of like a multi-level marketing thing. Okay. There's a lot of different people doing different things.
I would like to see the chatbot in confession.
I mean, someone did a confession with the chatbot, and he.
No, I want the chatbot to confess.
Oh.
Yeah.
Flip the tables on the chatbot.
I need some inspiration. Why don't you tell me all the sins that you've done, Mr. Chatbot?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
But in other ill-advised AI nonsense, over in Abu Dhabi over the weekend, we got a glimpse at the future of motorsports when the Abu Dhabi Autonomous Racing League held their first ever racing event featuring unmanned Formula One style race cars controlled by AI. Beyond the novelty of it all, it is hard to imagine that robots will be putting race car drivers out of business anytime soon. But hey, let's just see how it went. Here's The Verge. The first race of the Abu Dhabi Autonomous Racing League, the A2RL, took place on the Yas Marina Abu Dhabi Grand Prix Formula One track today. And I'm pleased to report that a race both began and ended. But the event was not without strife. Far from it. During qualifying time trials, the driverless Dallara Super Formula racers outfitted with cameras and software seemed to struggle mightily to complete a full lap. During the trials, cars randomly juked, or spun, or turned into walls, or just pulled off the track to take a little break.
Oh, that's cute. You get well acquainted with the interstitial music during these highlights. All praise to the patience and grace of the announcers who didn't sigh once that I heard. Instead, they declared things like that these cars are pushing the boundaries of science. When it came time for the actual race, the lead racer, Palamove, spun out on the fourth of 8 laps. The second car, Tomb, passed it safely, but shortly after that, the event's officials threw up a yellow flag. And since these are good AI drivers who obey the rules, the two behind Palamove stopped, unwilling to pass the spun-out yellow car. Racers aren't supposed to pass each other during a caution lap, you see. About an hour after the first lap of A2RL began, the AI racers completed their 8-lap race. And if you must know, Tomb won.
Okay.
Yeah.
So not great. Not the most exciting sounding thing.
And I get that this is, you have to have progress. But I still, with many other things AI related, I am asking not about the process to get there, but the end goal. And whether or not any human would be interested in watching a bunch of autonomous cars race each other.
Yeah, that's a big problem with this.
The whole thing is the human element and the drive to win.
Yeah.
The competitive spirit and the human mistakes, the human triumphs.
It's especially funny because like Formula One has gotten a huge surge in popularity just in the past couple of years thanks to that Netflix Drive to Survive behind the scenes show.
And that's all about it brings the human into the aspect of it.
So
and allows you to become a fan of the companies and drivers that they race for.
So we're going to get rid of all that. And the next season of Drive to Survive is just going to be like a guy sitting at a computer, sipping on Mountain Dew, like just very, bit by bit, working with those prompts, ingesting training data.
Oh, sorry, I have to leave early. My son's being baptized in Gatorade.
Yeah.
I'll be back to finish the coding on this.
So I get like the novelty aspect of it. It's like, let's see what happens. But we've seen it, and I'm like, okay, well, if I'm ever going to watch racing again, it won't be this.
Yes. Again, what is the future we're racing towards? Is it just a soulless, completely gutted entertainment industry, whether it's sports or actual entertainment or anything?
Everyone already enjoys slop, and this is what happens when you signal loud and clear that you are on an all slop diet.
It is bizarre because it just seems like something that no one would actually enjoy watching. I guess the only thing I can think of that would be worthwhile would be like if you did it for a demolition derby.
Yeah.
And then put like explosives in the car.
Yeah, no,
something that would be completely unsafe for
you make it do like some crazy course from like Trackmania or something.
Yeah.
Something that would be like unethical to put an actual human driver in the driver's seat for.
Yeah.
That shit would be cool.
Yeah. A figure eight demolition derby course, but with a jump going over the middle of the figure eight.
You do like real life Mario Kart where they have blue shells they can like
and
kill
let
the
the
other cars
audience
with.
shoot the shells.
Yeah.
There has to be some human
There's
interaction.
gotta be a way to make this good that isn't just F1 but without human beings.
Yes, because, I hate to say it, but it's fucking pointless.
It is.
It's a giant waste of money, time, and land.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, it seems like they were probably expecting things to go a little more smoothly with those AI versus AI races.
Yeah.
And like actually seem like, wow, these guys they look like they can take on the pros.
Yeah.
Because right after they raced against each other, the winner got to compete in the main event, which was a one-on-one race against an actual human F1 driver.
Ah.
And by the time that happened, because things had gone so boringly, it was clear before that race even started that the human driver was absolutely going to smoke the robocar. And that's exactly what happened with the F1 driver lapping the robocar twice.
Yeah.
In, I believe, it was another 8-lap race. So that's not a good sign.
A big track, by the way.
Yeah. So what was presumably an event meant to show off the imminent future of motorsports instead just ended up demonstrating that human race car drivers still have plenty of job security. And
Yeah.
you know what? Good for them.
Yeah. There's a NASCAR Netflix show now, too. If you want to get into all the drama behind the scenes on that. But, it's like, I think about this the same way. Like, I look at drone racing, and I'm like, that looks cool once. But at least...
Those are humans.
I know, at
flying
least
those
with
drones.
that, they have VR glasses that are just burning their retinas.
Yeah.
They're suffering at least a little bit.
And that shit looks cool because they turn off all the lights and it's like LEDs and it
Yeah.
looks like a fucking video game. And I wouldn't watch it for fun, but it's like, at least there's skill involved. There's people competing against other people.
I mean, this is literally... The only thing this would be good for is like if you put it in Vegas, because people bet on those fake horses with the little track in the Vegas
People will
casinos.
bet on fucking anything. People can bet on fucking skee ball at Dave & Buster's now.
Come on, kid, throw that ball faster!
Out of context.
That's happening. I'll add it in News Dump.
Yeah.
They're adding gambling to Dave & Buster's.
They are because
adding a bar to a children. It's not even an arcade. It's a children's arcade. It seems like because I went there a couple of years ago, and it's like a child's casino. It's all tickets.
But you're not allowed to be an unaccompanied minor there. It's a weird place, and it's always been that way. Like, even when I was a kid, like, remember my parents took me there once, and it was like, I could not be, like, alone at all. Like, I had to be with an adult the entire time.
It's all ticket games, and even, like, the actual games, they've made, like, winning ticket versions of it. There's, like, a Halo where you win tickets or something. It's a bizarre place that has been, I would have assumed, rendered obsolete by the many barcades springing up around the...
Nope, you can't win big at an arcade.
You can't get a pencil topper
Yeah.
for all those quarters.
You can't find a business card for a gambling problem. Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Well, you probably will have to see that now when you go in
every
there.
time you go take a piss at Dave & Buster's, it's going to be like, did you just ruin your life? There's people that can help.
There's going to be a crisis hotline in the urinals. But in other AI news, as you recall, OpenAI's announcement of their Sora video generator a few months back was so impressive that even AI skeptics had to admit that a lot of this footage was pretty incredible and would easily fool most people not specifically looking for evidence of AI trickery. At the same time, though, it was clear, especially to anyone who has ever worked in filmmaking, that this was a lot less useful than OpenAI and their fans were making it out to be. But beyond the visual artifacts, many of which were horrifying, the slot machine nature of Sora makes it difficult to see where this would actually fit into the motion picture workflow. Nevertheless, a few weeks later, OpenAI reiterated their pitch that Sora will enable people to make entire movies at the push of a button by releasing a short film called Airhead that was produced by some filmmakers that they granted early access to.
So Airhead it's about a guy who has a big yellow balloon instead of a head. And its minute-and-a-half runtime is made up of shots of the titular Airhead just sort of going about his life with some narration about what it's like to have a balloon for a head. So it's still very obvious that this technology has some pretty severe limitations, but hey, at least these filmmakers were able to work within those limitations to make something that is objectively a short narrative film.
Mm-hmm.
Except it turns out even that might be a bit too charitable because a recent behind-the-scenes interview reveals that producing Airhead actually involved a ton of additional work beyond what the Sora AI thing spit out. And it wasn't so much about coming up with an idea and having Sora create it as it was the opposite. Taking what Sora spit out and just figuring out how to arrange it into a cohesive idea.
Here's the website FX Guide's interview with Patrick Cederberg of Shy Kids, the company who made Airhead. Getting to play with it was very interesting, Patrick comments. It's a very, very powerful tool that we're already dreaming up all the ways it can slot into our existing process. But I think with any generative AI tool, control is still the thing that is most desirable and also the most elusive at this point. The user interface allows an artist to input a text prompt. OpenAI's ChatGPT then converts this into a longer string, which triggers the clip generation. At the moment, there is no other input. It is yet to be multimodal. This is significant as while Sora is correctly applauded for its object consistency during a shot, but there is nothing to help make anything from the first shot match in a second shot. The results would be different even if you ran the same prompt a second time. The closest we could get was just being hyper-descriptive in our prompts, Patrick explains. Explaining wardrobe for characters, as well as the type of balloon, was our way around consistency because shot-to-shot, generation-to-generation, there isn't the feature set in place yet for full control over consistency.
Wow, sounds like a great product. Sounds like a real joy to use.
Yes, it sounds like it's making what could have been a very simple job much more complicated. Also the reason that continuity experts exist and I can't remember if it was Ed Zitrone or someone else I follow, but was just like comparing this to pushing a button on a pollution machine and hoping that you get something usable out of it.
Oh yeah, and we'll get to that aspect of it because I was shocked, and my expectations were low, and I was still shocked at how wasteful this whole fucking thing is.
Yeah, and their take is important because it's like, yes, not only are you contributing to what the end game is just pollution, but also you might not be able to use what you've just generated because it could be completely different from what you want.
Anyway, it continues. For Airhead, the scenes were made by generating multiple clips to an approximate script, but there was no explicit way to have the actual yellow balloon head the same from shot to shot. Sometimes when the team prompted for a yellow balloon, it wouldn't even be yellow. Other times it had a face embedded in it or a face seemingly drawn on the front of the balloon. As many balloons have string, often the Airhead character, nicknamed Sunny, the balloon guy, would have a string down the front of the character's shirt, since it implicitly links string with balloons, and thus these would need to be removed in post. Airhead is only using Sora-generated footage, but much of it was graded, treated, and stabilized, and all of it was upscaled or up-resed. The clips the team worked with were generated at a lower resolution and then up-resed using AI tools outside Sora or OpenAI. You can do up to 720p, Patrick explains. I believe there's a 1080 feature that's out, but it takes a while to render. We did all of Airhead at 480 for speed, and then upright using Topaz.
Patrick also at one point literally compares it to a slot machine, saying, there's a little bit of temporal control about where these different actions happen in the actual generation, but it's not precise. It's kind of a shot in the dark, like a slot machine, as to whether or not it actually accomplishes those things at this point. This is a problem, but it's especially problematic when you factor in render times, which he describes as up to 20 minutes for a 3-second clip. So when you're waiting that long and something comes out with huge errors, like for example, this shot, where there's a human head where there shouldn't be, and the balloon is red instead of yellow, you have to do a bunch of manual post-production to actually get it where you need it to be.
That's cool.
Yeah, as soon as I heard, obviously, the render times, but
those render times, that's at 480 resolution, just like dog shit resolution.
That would be hours for a couple seconds.
Yeah, so basically
that you might not be able to use.
Just by resolution, you'd assume it would be 9 times longer.
Yes.
So for a 3-second clip, that's like a couple hours.
Yes.
And you don't know, you press the button, you're like, I gotta wait.
I hope it works.
I hope what comes out is something I can use, because if not, I have to press the button again and then wait another 3 hours.
It seems very efficient, and all these companies should definitely be adding this
Hollywood needs to fire all their VFX teams.
To their workflow.
Go get in the bread lines, losers. We're using Sora. And I'm gonna see how great this is in, oh Lord.
Couple hours, but we'll get back to the conversation and then you'll all be very impressed. You'll see.
But yeah, that brings us to the biggest problem with Sora. You cannot write a story and have Sora create the footage for your story. You have to have Sora just create a ton of footage around like a basic idea and then see if you can stitch it together into something that feels like a story, I guess. From the article, the Shy Kids methodology was to approach post-production and editing like a documentary, where there is a lot of footage and you weave a story from that material rather than strictly shooting to a script. There was a script for the short film, but the team needed to be agile and adapt. It was just getting a whole bunch of shots and trying to cut it up in an interesting way to the VO, Patrick recalls. For the minute and a half of footage that ended up in the film, Patrick estimated that they generated hundreds of generations at 10 to 20 seconds apiece, adding, "My math is bad, but I would guess probably 300 to 1 in terms of the amount of source material to what ended up in the final."
This is so frustrating. And also the fact that like doing this practically would, despite the fact that you're driving a bunch of studio trucks and equipment and using energy with lighting and stuff around, I would almost guarantee that it would be less of a climate impact.
No, especially like this short, like aside from like the balloon for a head thing, which like anyone who is like at least halfway skilled with compositing and knows how to work with that would be able to do that pretty easily.
A day or two in After Effects tutorials and you would be able to do this easily.
Other than that, the short it looks like a student film.
Yeah.
So it's like if you got this Sora and it can do anything, it's just very funny to shoot a film that looks like
amateur.
It could have been done for like a couple $1,000s, maybe even less than the cost of all the electricity and CPU usage that actually went into it.
In the mid 2000s and 2010s, people were doing this for free in their bedrooms and then turning it into careers.
Yeah, well.
Because that's literally the whole skill set, is being able to use the tools that you're perfecting in order to do things fast and cheap that look very good.
There's a new tool in town, and it's not fast, it's not cheap, and it doesn't really look all that good all the time, but
yeah,
you can press a button and you can go like play a couple rounds of Helldivers and then come check on it.
And then that you're gonna be playing a lot of Helldivers because that footage is not gonna be great.
Level 100, baby. But yeah, for 300 to 1. For comparison, your typical movie has a shooting ratio of like between 5 to 1 and 10 to 1. Some of them go a little higher. Some of them go a little lower. Clint Eastwood, I think it's just like 1 to 1. We got it.
All right, let's go.
But yeah, that means that between 10 and 20% of what gets filmed ends up in the final cut. 300 to 1 is insane for narrative films. It's much more comparable to documentary filmmaking, where you find the story in the edit, which makes sense for documentaries, does not make sense for narrative storytelling. Mm-hmm. So it's really hard to see this appealing to actual filmmakers as a way to make movies. It just seems like a giant, annoying, expensive pain in the ass with very few, if any, practical applications beyond, I guess, like generating stock B-roll that is deep in the uncanny valley. The technology will certainly improve with time, sure. But for now, Sora is yet another AI tool that is impressive, but not useful really at all. It's a solution in search of a problem.
Yeah. And also just on the general AI point, like so many local businesses are using that shit on fucking Instagram and social now. It's so...
I see it so much.
It's very annoying. And
my favorite thing, this was like a while ago. This is like 6 months to a year ago, but like Nicki Minaj was using like a ton of like Dolly Midjourney shit in like her posts to social media. And there was a great post like responding to it. It was like, the message that you send when you do this is like, I'm poor, I'm cheap. I don't have money to spend on
You're a multi-millionaire artist who works in the entertainment industry.
And that's when I see AI generated art, I'm just like, okay, well, this person like does not have the money or the motivation to actually try here, which maybe tells you something about the business they're trying to advertise.
What bothers me the most is that it would be like, and I know like crediting photographers and stuff like that, but just like businesses that I've seen that are like, come to our downtown LA pop-up. And it's an AI generated image of downtown LA. There are millions of photographs of downtown LA. Probably a lot that are in the public domain. Me off.
I see like the one with like, the one last week we talked about like the Civil War poster. Like the one in LA specifically, it was like Echo Park, which like they got that all wrong. But in the background, it was like the LA skyline. I'm like, it would have taken me 2 fucking seconds to just magic eraser out the shitty fake skyline there and put in the real LA skyline.
Yeah.
Like
LA Magic Eraser, Elliot Magic Eraser is AI tool.
Not.
What I would have done is taken the pen tool and meticulously gone into every little angle.
I mean,
and
you
cut
could
that out, and yeah.
The magic eraser is essentially just a stamp tool, but like uses a little bit of AI.
Yeah, and by the way, it works like half the time.
Yeah, but it just saves you a little bit of time. You, the humans, still have to do the work. But I'm saying, like, the fact that they didn't bother to even replace an obviously wrong skyline with the real one, something that would have taken a minute.
Yeah.
With anyone even like half capable in Photoshop. That means I feel disrespected when I see that.
Yes.
You think so little of me that you just shat out this fucking garbage and shoved it in my face and said, here, you like this, right? This looks pretty to you, right? You want to see this movie, right? No, I kind of don't.
I can't hold it against local businesses that much because a lot of them are fucking completely disconnected. They're just like, oh, I put in Facebook dropped this new thing where I just type in what I want.
Sure. I mean, these are the same people that were using like Comic Sans.
Yes. Yes. So instead of rainbow background Comic Sans over it, you're getting this, which I guess is an improvement. It's
I'm more mad at the people that should know better.
Yes.
Local businesses have always had terrible fucking taste in graphic design. Whatever. Yes. It can't be helped. Yeah. I'm more mad at the people who should know better and do know better.
Yeah.
Thinking they can pull a fast one on me. No, you can't. And I'm insulted.
Oh, anyways, we do have more news coming up for you in the Elon show. But before we get to that, we got to let you know that thank goodness this episode is sponsored.
We're eating tonight. And what are we eating?
We're eating Factor, baby. Warmer, sunnier days are calling. Are you going to pick up the phone?
Hello.
Fuel up for all those warm, sunny days with Factor's no prep, no mess meals. Meet your wellness goals in time for summer thanks to the menu of chef-crafted meals with options like Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, and Keto. Factor's fresh, never frozen meals are dietitian approved and ready to eat in just 2 minutes. So no matter how busy you are, you'll always have time to enjoy nutritious, great tasting meals. Just yesterday, I said, I'm going to go on a run. Oh, I should probably get some food ready to cook afterwards. No, I'm going to have a delicious taco bowl from Factor afterwards. It's going to keep my calorie intake exactly where I want it. And I know that it's going to taste good too, and I can be a little lazy because I'm just popping it in the microwave.
Yeah, more time to run.
Yeah.
Make today the day that you kickstart a new healthy routine. What are you waiting for? With 35 different meals and more than 60 add-ons to choose from every week, you'll always have new flavors to explore. Crush your wellness goals this May with dietitian-approved meals and ingredients that you can trust. Make your day delicious. From breakfast to dessert, stay fueled with easy, nutritious options. Treat yourself to restaurant-quality meals that feature premium ingredients like filet mignon, shrimp, and blackened salmon. Keep kitchen time to a minimum. Factor meals are ready in 2 minutes. No shopping, prepping, cooking, or cleaning up.
Enjoy effortless support for your lifestyle. Choose from 6 menu preferences to help you manage calories, maximize protein intake, avoid meat, or simply eat well balanced. Head to factormeals.com/newsday50 and use our code newsday50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month. That's code newsday50 at factormeals.com/newsday50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month while your subscription is active.
All right, back to the news now. And thankfully, this was a relatively slow week on the Elon side of things. Unfortunately,
he was busy in China.
He was busy getting on the ground and barking like a dog for Xi Jinping.
He dog walked him for sure.
But yeah, unfortunately, even a relatively slow week for Elon has plenty to discuss. And let's start with the news of the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration's investigation into how wildly dangerous Tesla's Autopilot is. Spoiler alert, it's wildly dangerous. Here's Wired. A federal report published today found that Tesla's Autopilot system was involved in at least 13 fatal crashes in which drivers misused the system in ways the automaker should have foreseen and done more to prevent. Not only that, but the report called out Tesla as an industry outlier because its driver assistance features lacked some of the basic precautions taken by its competitors. Now regulators are questioning whether a Tesla Autopilot update designed to fix these basic design issues and prevent fatal incidents has gone far enough. These fatal crashes killed 14 people and injured 49, according to data collected and published by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, the federal road safety regulator in the U.S.
At least half of the 109 frontal plane crashes closely examined by government engineers, those in which a Tesla crashed into a vehicle or obstacle directly in its path, involved hazards visible 5 seconds or more before impact. That's enough time that an attentive driver should have been able to prevent or at least avoid the worst of the impact, government engineers concluded. In one such crash, a March 2023 incident in North Carolina, a Model Y traveling at highway speed struck a teenager while he was exiting a school bus. The teen was airlifted to a hospital to treat his serious injuries. The NHTSA concluded that both the bus and the pedestrian would have been visible to an attentive driver and allowed the driver to avoid or minimize the severity of this crash. Government engineers wrote that throughout their investigation, they observed a trend of avoidable crashes involving hazards that would have been visible to an attentive driver.
So yeah, the big takeaway from the report seems to be that despite so many car companies at this point having advanced driver assist technologies in their vehicles, Tesla stands out from the pack for allowing its systems to operate in situations that it was not designed for, while doing very, very little to ensure that the drivers are actually paying attention to the road. No, you can take a nap. I got this. Pff, child run over. Oh, sorry, I didn't see that school bus. It wasn't big and bright enough. I'm a car.
Again, I'll make the same point. I always do. Why are they not just focusing on just highway travel?
Yeah, no, it is
not arguably, it is the safest safest place to actually test this technology.
There are far more variables on streets than there are on the highway. The highway is, you are kind of driving on rails. There's a lot going on, but I would say it's far simpler than when you're navigating neighborhoods and whatnot.
That's why, like, even when Tesla was first marketing and deploying this, like, other car companies quietly put out essentially enhanced cruise control. Where it's like, you got to keep your hands on the road, but, you know, you don't have to you can set it, but also if for some reason an unexpected braking situation happens, will at least help.
Yeah, I mean, I use mine pretty much only on road trips and really only when traffic is flowing perfectly. Because if there's any sort of stop and goage, it's easier for me to just drive the fucking car than it is for me to be like, okay.
Monitoring it?
Yeah, I'm like, okay.
Is it going to react?
It stopped up ahead. Is it going to react? And it reaches a point where I'm like, right now is where I would start tapping the brakes. Is it going to tap the brakes? Should I take over? And it's just more annoying than if I drove it myself. It's only really useful if I'm on straightaways out in the middle of fucking nowhere on a highway with not too many cars, nothing's happening, and I just want to be able to like rest my feet.
Also, with the way that specifically Tesla does it with the stupid cameras instead of the LiDAR or whatever, like, the highway is a much more controlled environment for having those, I know they get screwed up a lot, but having those signifiers printed on the road, whereas city streets, anything can happen. Someone could drop a fucking paint bucket off the back of their truck, and then your car's like, what the hell is this?
Someone might have a t-shirt with a big red stop sign on it.
That makes the car stop.
So, they also, the NHTSA, they correctly critiqued Tesla's use of the term autopilot and compared it to other companies whose systems use words like assist, sense, and team. Words that very strongly indicate that this is going to help you, but
you're a part of it.
You're still in charge. You're still the driver.
Yeah.
Whereas autopilot, on the other hand, that gives the sense that, nope, don't worry, the car's driving itself. Yep. You can go ahead and take a nap. Candy Crush is calling. So yeah, the investigation was conducted before Tesla issued that major recall patch back in December that Tesla claims fixed all these issues, but the NHTSA is apparently already back at work on a new investigation into whether that is actually true, because there's already been at least 20 new autopilot crashes since that recall. And Elon just announced that Tesla is about to try and fill the streets with robo-taxis powered by this same self-driving technology. So yeah, if I'm working at the government agency in charge of people not dying on the highways, that's it's going to put some pep in my step. That's going to make me wake up on time for work. Just the fear that I am preventing a potential Holocaust on the road.
Yeah. Speaking of those robo-taxis, though, Elon seems very serious about it. So serious, in fact, that he's directing Tesla's focus away from the things that they're actually good at, specifically their supercharger network, which was one of the only undeniable positives to come out of this whole thing, is just like, wow, it's really good that someone's building infrastructure for the electric cars.
The only way you get mass adoption is if you have the equivalent of gas stations across the country for
and ones
people
that work very fast.
Yeah,
which,
people that want to go beyond their car's range.
So if nothing else, Tesla's network of charging stations is a tremendous and necessary accomplishment for the mass adoption of electric cars, especially now that Tesla's charging system has been adopted as the North American charging standard, which all electric vehicles will use. Seems like a great source of steady, good revenue.
Reliable.
For a company having some financial issues. Some difficulties, some might say. But Elon just fired pretty much everyone from the entire supercharger team. For some reason. Whatever.
They weren't hardcore enough.
Here's Reuters.
Elon Musk's abrupt decision to lay off employees who ran Tesla's electric vehicle charging business blindsided automakers gearing up to equip new EVs for customers to use the Tesla supercharger network, industry officials and analysts said on Tuesday. For now, General Motors, Ford, and other automakers which struck deals last year to give customers access to the network said they are not changing their plans. Tesla's decision to open its network to rival EV manufacturers was hailed by U.S. President Joe Biden and opened the door for Tesla to get federal subsidies to expand the reach of its North American charging standard system. Musk's decision to dismiss the head of the business, Rebecca Tanucci, and most or all of the staff that operated and maintained the system, according to 2 former employees and multiple postings on LinkedIn, left officials at automakers and Tesla suppliers uncertain about the future.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy.
Masterful gambit, sir.
He probably sees this as a threat to his business because, like, now that Ford and General Motors can use it.
I mean, he is correct in realizing that everyone makes electric cars now, and Tesla really does not have anything special in that regard.
Mm-hmm.
What they do have is that Autopilot shit. That's what really stands out. And by stand out, I mean they're the ones taking the most risks and pushing them fastest and most dangerously. So we're going all in on that, I guess.
Anyways, this is all part of a much larger layoff cycle at Tesla that's seeming more and more reminiscent of when Elon decided to get rid of most of the Twitter staff.
Yeah.
Still somewhat an operational company, but at what cost? Because there's clear cracks in the walls and very big problems. And when you take that offline and into the real world, those problems could be very significant very quickly.
Twitter can't kill anyone.
Well,
Teslas can and have killed many people.
Well, here's The Verge. Barely 2 weeks after initiating layoffs for at least 14,000 staffers, Tesla is now reportedly laying off hundreds more, including senior executives and the majority of its supercharging team. According to an email first reported by Disinformation and then Electrek, the automaker's senior director of EV charging, Rebecca Tanucci, is leaving the company on Tuesday alongside most of the 500-person team she oversaw. Tesla's head of the new vehicles program, Daniel Ho, is also out along with his team. These cuts come in addition to the recent 10% workforce reduction, and Musk's email leaves room for more. In the email sent to executives last night, Musk said he wants Tesla to be absolutely hardcore about the cuts, and that staffers working under executives who don't obviously pass the excellent, necessary, and trustworthy test would also be out of a job. While the full scale of these new layoffs is unclear, Bloomberg previously reported that Tesla's total headcount reduction that began earlier this month could end up being as high as 20% of its workforce, or well in excess of 20,000 employees.
That's a big fucking layoff. And like rolling layoffs too. The layoffs will continue until morale improves.
Which it will not.
Yeah, it's not going to improve. So
it will. Gosh, if any of the other automakers or anyone in the business of charging cars wanted a real gimme, they would hire this entire team.
Yeah.
And potentially start over on a supercharging network.
Yeah. There were some analysts saying that, like, if Musk was smart, he would just sell the supercharger network. He could get, like, an insane amount of money if he did that. He could sell it off as a whole or sell it off bit by bit, basically franchise it out. They're like, that would be a great idea, a great way to get some quick cash. But he probably won't do it because he's a fucking idiot.
Instead, he's trying to, like, do his stock buybacks or whatever and get cashed out on tens of billions of dollars. Anyways,
fascinating.
One last bit of Musk news. Remember way back in 2018 when he got really high and decided to go on Twitter and commit securities fraud with his infamous funding secured tweets? One of the results of that shit show was that Elon wouldn't be allowed to tweet anything that could affect Tesla's stock without first consulting a company lawyer. And this made Elon very, very mad.
My free speech.
And all these years later, he's still mad. And since Elon has a fetish for lawsuits, he took his complaints all the way to the top, to the U.S. Supreme Court.
The managers.
Which has much more pressing issues to deal with, but sure, Elon, come right in.
A lot on their plate.
Here's Ars Technica with how that went.
The U.S. Supreme Court today rejected Elon Musk's attempt to terminate his settlement with the Securities and Exchange Commission. Musk appealed to the Supreme Court in December 2023, claiming the settlement he agreed to in 2018 forced him to waive his First Amendment rights to speak on matters ranging far beyond the charged violations. The SEC settlement requires Musk to get pre-approval from a Tesla securities lawyer for tweets or other social media posts that may contain information material to the company or its shareholders. The Supreme Court decided not to hear the case, leaving an appeals court ruling against Musk intact. The top court denied Musk's petition without comment Monday morning in a list of orders.
Oh, I've been canceled by the Supreme Court.
Canceled by the woke Supreme Court.
Just like my good friend Donnie Trump.
I'd like to think they threw it on the ground.
The woke mob
Get the fuck out of here.
The woke moralists at the Supreme Court.
Elon Musk, you bitch. We're in here deciding whether or not we're going to do fascism or not.
Yeah, we've got
a big decision to make. We're deciding on whether the future, the final decline of the United States will take place under fascism.
Yeah.
Get your bullshit out of here.
And how rapidly.
Yes.
No, you can't just fucking artificially raise and lower the stock price of your company by tweeting bullshit. And at this point, we're going to assume that you bought the company so that you could just sidestep all of the rules that we've put in place. Anyways, fuck that guy.
And the Supreme Court. Fuck them all.
Yeah.
Fuck everyone we talked about in this episode. They can all go to hell.
Yeah. And the media for reporting
Except
on
for Factor. Great company.
Great company. And also, just fuck the media for reporting on the university protests as somehow pro-Hamas.
Yeah. Fuck Dana Bash. Fuck you. Fuck. God, I'm like just a ball of rage these days. It's not fun.
And it's not healthy.
I would say I need a vacation. I just went on vacation. What the hell am I supposed to do now?
Well, we're just going to keep working. And next week, we're going to Washington, D.C. to make our voices heard.
I'm going to go let those crooks and clowns up on Capitol Hill. Oh, we're going during actually, are they in session while we're there?
I have no idea.
I don't know. Well, if they're there, I'll be sure to give them a piece of my mind. If I see Lauren Boebert, I'll give her a little wolf whistle. Beetlejuice.
We promise not to bother anyone. We'll be back soon with an episode of News Dump this week and an episode of Weekly Weird News. So stay tuned for that and watch our other episodes. We got a whole episode about how Kristi Noem killed her fucking dog. She fucking did it.
She did.
And she admitted it.
She admitted it.
Yeah. And nobody even asked her to.
Yeah.
She did so willingly.
Unforced.
And that not only does that have a little piece about George Santos, but we got Santos by the barrelful. Watch other episodes and we will talk to you very soon.
Bye.
Bye.